Paul Mitchell from BBC Radio Scotland. And he has come! In this week's Extra, it's jumpers for goalposts as we talk about our all-time football heroes. Willie Collum gets in the way and a rogue cat invades the pitch at Tannadice. Greg sends Saints fans wild and Logan celebrates in style. Remember to never miss a goal again, and to stay involved with the chat, subscribe for free here. This week's topic is inspired by Nike's World Cup advert, in which fans become their idols during a kickabout in the park. Boys become Pirlo, Neymar, Ronaldo, and at one stage the Hulk, which doesn't really work. And you're probably asking, why are we talking about this? Because, you know, we're just a little Scottish football show, you know, but if you listen closely, the commentator in it is actually Paul Mitchell from BBC Radio Scotland. And it's a tedious link, but it's good enough for us. This week, we want to know who were the idols when you were growing up that you pretended to be when you were playing with your mates in the park. Now, if you're from Aberdeen, born in the 90s, probably someone like Eoin Jess, who was an absolutely brilliant player in his day. Celtic, it's got to be Henrik Larsson. And the amount of guys who had number 7 on their backs growing up, you know, because he's an idol. The other side of City, Ally McCoist, during his heyday, he scored goals for fun.
Ally McCoist puts Rangers 2-1 in front and scores his 350th goal for the club. So
there's loads to choose from. For me, the boy who I used to replicate in the pitch is not that voice, but Roberto Carlos. I was a left back, a marauding left back if you will, and he scored this goal against France in '97 in which he just kicks it from the outside of his foot and it curls in. It's absolutely glorious. We'd love to show you that goal, but we don't have the rights, so instead here's Jamie Hamill. Comment below with who your idols were growing up, and as always we'll use the best chat in next week's show. One lucky person also will win a copy of Football Manager, so get in touch. Now last week we asked you what were the most random moments and paradise that you've seen in Scottish football, and loads of you got in touch with your own memories. For Jimmy Bacon, it's got to be Callum Higginbotham's strike straight from kick-off against Aberdeen for Partick Thistle, which strikes the crossbar. For Danny Harper and Deaglan 2306, it's the time Fraser Foster did a clearance at Celtic Park, and for some reason the ball just bounces on a beam, or at least it appears to. It's absolutely bizarre. For Kyle Quincy, it's the time Willie Collum got in the way of the football in the match between Dundee and St Johnstone. He tries to worm his way out of getting hit by the ball and just doesn't. It's quite funny. At Tannadice, Gary Fleming, Joe DFC and Dylan McCaig all make reference to the time that John Rankin got lifted by Nadir Chifty and then fell to the floor. The other example from Tannadice also comes from Connor Woodward, who came very, very close to winning Comment of the Week for the second week in succession. He talks about the time a black cap somehow managed to find its way onto the pitch in a game between Dundee United and Dunfermline from 2006. Deaglan Coleman, meanwhile, points out the time when Lee Griffiths thought he had scored a goal in a game that Celtic won the league in against Partick Thistle, and you'll have to watch it closely for this, a fan kind of ends up falling over an advertising hoarding. What makes it worse is ultimately it's for nothing because obviously the goal was disallowed. However, Comment of the Week goes to one of my favourite YouTube names, Big Robot Wars 97. For him, it's got to be Billy Brown's post-match press conference in the game against Stenhousemuir, in which the Fifers lost 2-0, and let's just say he has his heart in his sleeve during his own press conference.
They were better than us, and they're better players than us, right?
Well done, mate. We'll be in touch with your copy of Football Manager shortly. Now it's time for my favourite goals from the weekend's Premiership action. At number 4 is Lionel Aimworth's goal from Motherwell against St Johnstone at Fir Park. I'm not entirely sure if he means it, but he crosses the ball, well I think it's a cross, and it ends up in the top corner. At number 3 is Chris Collins' second goal for Celtic in our 5-2 win against Aberdeen. There's quite a few things I like about this goal. First of all, Kyle's little through ball, which is absolutely class. Second of all, Collins' finish past Jamie Langfield, leaving the goalkeeper with absolutely no chance. And finally, the significance of the goal. It's Chris Collins' 30th goal in the Premiership this season, which is absolutely brilliant considering he plays in midfield. Now this week, I can't actually decide what my favourite goal is because we were blessed with 2 absolutely stunning strikes. Greg Wild for St Mirren against Ross County from about 30 yards out. It's an absolutely brilliant finish, and depending on whatever the result was at Tynecastle between Hearts and Kilmarnock, could be the goal that keeps him up. At Celtic Park, Shea Logan scored after beating a few players and then firing an effort past Fraser Foster from 25 yards out. That's all for this week's SPFL Extra, but remember to subscribe for free here. Until next week, take care.